Hello, everybody. Welcome to another game in Fall Classic Baseball. This one I'm taking the maiden voyage on after having a couple live streams with some help from the viewers who know the game better than I do, kind of talking me through some things, particularly Dan Douglas, Tony Porter, and ID Jester. The primary ones I can remember off the top of my head. If anybody else helped me, Brian B. may have chimed in too. I'm not 100% sure. But now I'm going to try to go on my own and see if I retained all this knowledge or not. Of course, if I make a mistake, or maybe when I make a mistake, then of course, if you leave something in the comments, that will help me to learn better. All right, when I'm recording, instead of live stream, when I'm recording, the panoramic vision doesn't go quite as far wide, so really trying to make sure that I can condense all these things to get everything to fit. And I think it does, the best of my ability. I think it does. All right, I do have the fast action cards right here. When I flip them, it'll be right here. When the outs will show up, when it's a hit, I got to check runner advancement. I will bring it up here because the camera or the phone it cuts off right here and you won't be able to see it. So I'll bring that up. Starting pitchers for today's game, Rick Sutcliffe for the Cubs and Floyd Yeomans for the Phillies. And we'll get our starting lineups, all our batter cards. Whoops, wrong order here. We need Bob Dernier to face Rick Sutcliffe, not Floyd Yeomans. All right, so like I said, it's a really condensed space, but I'm going to try to do the best I can with it. And of course, the first thing we're going to do is the bullpen sessions for both teams. First, the home pitcher, Rick Sutcliffe. That's a 15, so he's on a C grade. So Rick Sutcliffe, unfortunately, on a C grade. How about Yeomans? Yeomans is on a 1, so he's on the A grade. And Yeomans needs the help because in this matchup, 16-11 Rick Sutcliffe against 1-5 Yeomans seems like a mismatch. But now maybe certain roles, the A version of Yeomans will help offset the C version of Sutcliffe. We do have the Chicago colored dice, as we see. And we are ready to go. I think we're ready to go. I'm going to hope so anyway. Since I am recording, if I get stuck on something, I am going to pause the video and go check out the rules as best I can. I do have some of the key things that I need to probably watch out for are printed off for me. So I think we're ready to go. Rick Sutcliffe to Bob Dernier. 63 for Dernier is a blank. Compared to Sutcliffe, even on C grade, it is an out. And the out will be a fly out to center field. So one down as Dernier flies out to Jerome Walton. One away, and that brings up Tommy Herr. 34, that's a blank on Herr. 34, though, is a single against Sutcliffe. So on his C grades, he's a single. Had he been on his A grade, it would have been an out. But on his C grade, it is a base hit for Tommy Herr. So the first base runner of the game for the Phillies is Tommy Herr. And if we need it, I got the ballpark card right here if we need it. So I'm sticking it right there. Don't need to see it unless it's called for. All right, infield looking for the double play. Sutcliffe to Hayes. 15 is an out on Hayes' card. The out will be a fly out to left, so that's 2 down. And, of course, Herr will have to stay at first base. So 2 down for the Michael Jack Schmidt. We get an 11. That's an out on Schmidt, and it will be a fly to center. So 3 flyouts, 2 to center and 1 to left. Take care of the Phillies. No runs a hit, no errors, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the first. Phillies nothing, and the Cubs will be coming to bat. And rookie Jerome Walton will lead things off against Floyd Yeomans. As I get the cards ready for the next inning. I don't want to have anybody batting out of turn. So I need to get my cards for the Phillies to make sure the proper man, Chris James, will lead off next inning. Okay, for some reason, I don't know why, but for some reason I'm missing Floyd Yeoman's pitcher hitting card. So I'm going to pause the video to make sure I get that straight. Okay, we are back. One thing, the reason why I didn't have a Floyd Yeoman's batter or pitcher hitting card, because he didn't have one. So I went downstairs real quick. I was kind of in a hurry. So I went downstairs. I was looking on the website for pitcher batting cards, generic pitcher batting cards. Did not see them. I did see generic batter cards. So I went ahead and just on the fly, because I don't have time, just printed out. I just picked a random number, generic card number 3, and that's what I'm going to use for Floyd Yeoman's. So I know it's not exactly perfect science, but that's just on the fly. It's the best I can do. Like I said, it's not really that important. This is just a one-off game. This is not a season replay or anything. So the fact that he has the generic pitcher hitting or generic batter card really isn't that relevant. All right, here's Jerome Walton to lead it off against Yeomans. 15 is an out, and that out will be a fly out to center field. So boy, we're hitting those flyouts again. I thought I shuffled these things pretty well, but seems like the flyouts are populated the top of the deck. Here's Webster. 51 in our first defensive check. That's an 11. That's out of the range of Yeoman. So we're looking at an error check here on the shortstop. Right here, shortstop error check. Potential one base error on the shortstop, Steve Jeltz. I'm sorry, Dickie Thon, not Steve Jeltz. Dickie Thon. Again, I did not, because I was going to do Oakland, Seattle, and then the last minute decided to do this game, so I did not print out the team defensive sheets, but we've got the card right here for Dickie Thon. His error is a 6. So we're going to re-roll the D20 and see if we get a 6 or less. If we get a 6 or less, he will commit the error. It'll be a one-base error. 7 or higher, he will make the play. It's an 18, so he does make the play. So Dickie Thon fights the tough hop on the Wrigley Field dirt and makes the play on Webster for out number 2. And that'll bring up Ryan Sandberg. 53. And now we got a range check. That's a 3, though. The D20 is a 3. And Floyd Yeoman's under his A grade is a 1 to 3. So that's actually going to be a strikeout. Will not go to a range check. Will not pass go. Will not collect $200. And Ryan Sandberg is the unfortunate recipient of that KD result. And he will strike out instead of potentially getting a chance for a base hit. So that's going to end the inning. No runs, no hits, no errors, and nobody left for the Cubbies. We've completed one with no score here from Wrigley Field. Top of the second, Chris James, left fielder, will lead it off against Sutcliffe. 14, that's an out, and it will be a fly out to right field. So we still got those flyouts populating the top of the deck. Maybe I need to cut them again. I don't know. Let me cut these again just to be on the safe side. See if I can cut them again and see if we can get some of those ground outs in there. Here's Ron Jones. He is in right field for this game. 23 is an out, and the out will be a pop out to second. So how about that? I'll refer to the white die from the original roll, which was a 3, which is a pop out to first. I'll keep the pop out to second. Like I said, it doesn't really matter. This is not a season replay. We're not doing defensive stats as long as we get the out. And especially with nobody on base, it really doesn't matter. Here's Dickie Thon. 56 for Thon. And on Sutcliffe, that's a strikeout. So Rick Sutcliffe gets the first strikeout of the afternoon for the Cubs. Anyway, Yeomans has already got one. 3 up, 3 down go the Phillies. No problem at all for Sutcliffe and his C grade so far. We go to the bottom of the second, still no score. And for the Phillies, it'll be Darren Dalton leading off next inning, followed by the pitcher, Mr. Yeomans, using that generic card. Here's the Hawk, Andre Dawson, to lead it off against Yeomans. 23 for Dawson is a straight-up strikeout on his card, so 1 away. Second strikeout in a row for Yeomans, and here's Mark Grace. 33 for Grace. That's a solid single for Mark Grace. He gets the first hit of the game for the Cubbies. He's aboard with a 1-out single. And infield now looking to turn 2. And that'll bring up Vance Law. 13 is an out, and that's an X, which means if we get a ground ball, it's going to be a double play. The out will be a line out to second. Line out to second, or for the white die. The white die is a, well, here's the gist of it. It's a line out to second, but if you keep the line out to second, it's a double play. But if I go by the white die, it's a line out to first. So you would think you'd double off the guy from first there, but I'm going to call it a line out to second, but I'm not going to use the double play because the white die was not a 4. So I'm going to keep the original line out, but it's not going to be a double play. Lines it out to the second baseman, Tommy Herr, but Grace gets back. 2 down. If somebody could tell me on that one, maybe I should have gone to the double play, but since the white die is a 3, if I'm going to use the white die, then I've got to go here, not here. So I'm going to keep the original roll up here, line out to second, which means no double play. And that's the way I'm interpreting it. All right, here's Shawon Dunston, or Shawon Dunston, 2-4. 24, hit by pitch is a 1. That's a 20. No hit by pitch, so he is out. And it will be a line out to center field. So that's going to end the inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 1 left. 2 innings in the books here at Wrigley. The wind must be blowing in because we've got no score. Of course, it is an April game, so it's probably a little cold in the Windy City, and the wind might very well be blowing in. So, to my knowledge, there is no weather effects check in this game. So, Wrigley Field will be Wrigley Field no matter what time of the year it is. All right, so here's Darren Daulton. Maybe it's a homebrew somebody could do. I don't know, but here's Sutcliffe. 35 to Daulton. That's a blank on Daulton, but it's a base hit off of Sutcliffe. So Daulton will get the base hit, and that'll bring up the pitcher spot. Generic pitcher hitting card. Number 3 is what I pulled out. It's got a sacrifice hit of 5. Now, the sacrifice hits in this game are a little wonky, but I'm going to play it the way they say to play it. So we're going to roll to see if he gets the ball down. He does, and it's a 2, which means it's going to the catcher. So now 1 to 5, and it'll be successful. And it is. So sacrifice bunt to the catcher. And Girardi's only play is to first. We're going to call it 2 to 4 as Sandberg came over and covered on that. So Daulton with the single and Yeomans with the sacrifice hit 2 to 4. 1 out, but now a runner is in scoring position in Darren Daulton. And that brings us to the top of the order. And Bob Dernier. And Dernier flew to center his first chance. 46, that's the ballpark card going to Wrigley Field. Wrigley Field, and that's a 5. Whoops, that's a 5 for a right-handed hitter. That is a 5. It's a 4 to 5 is a double, and a runner score. So how about that? It's an RBI double for Bob Dernier, and Darren Daulton will score. He may not have scored without the successful sacrifice bunt, although the card says he would have anyway. But it looks better with the sacrifice bunt in place. And the Phillies break through. RBI double from Bob Dernier scores Daulton. Even on those achy knees, he still comes in to score. And the Phillies lead at 1 to nothing. Here's Von. Actually, it should be Tommy Herr, not Von Hayes. How do these get out of order? Don't want to bat out of order. That would be an automatic out. So we're going to have Herr, but they caught it before the pitch was made. So here's Herr. 54. So we're going to not use this. We're going to use the one below it with runners on. Men on base, wild pitch. If the wild pitch rating is a 3, falls within the range, it's runs advance. His wild pitch is an 18, so Dernier definitely goes to third on the wild pitch, and that's big. Now the infield's going to have to come in with a runner at third and less than 2 outs. So a wild pitch by Sutcliffe as he gets a little unrattled, or gets a little rattled, unnerved, I guess is the right word for it. And now the infield is in for Tommy Herr. 22, it doesn't matter. That's a single for Tommy Herr. He strokes a single. I think it would have been a single even without the infield being in. And it's a 2-0 Phillies lead. Herr is now 2 for 2 as Dernier trots home. Phillies lead at 2-0. Still only 1 out with Herr at first. Here's Von Hayes. 43. That's a blank on Sutcliffe card. It's an out. The out will be a ground ball to, he's a left-handed hitter, ground ball to first. With a runner at first. Runner to second, batter out 3-1. So the only play Grace had was the flip to Sutcliffe covering, and Herr scoots down to second base. 3-1 put out if you're scoring at home, and why wouldn't you be? And now Michael Jack Schmidt is up. First base is open, but I don't know if you want to start walking guys down 2-0. So I think they're going to go ahead and pitch to him. Although home runs on the C grade for Sutcliffe is a 1-13. So you got to avoid that 65, which he did, 34. But he didn't avoid the single. That's a 34. That's a single. So let's check out where the single goes. To left field, second to home scores. So there you go. Herr will score. It's now 3-0 Phillies as Mike Schmidt comes through with an RBI single. Maybe they should have walked him. RBI single for Schmidt, and it is now 3-0 favor of the Phillies as they break through the second time through the order against Sutcliffe. There are 2 outs, but it's 3-0 favor of the Phillies. That'll bring up Chris James. 25, and that's going to be an out, Chris James, and the out will be a ground ball to short. And with a runner at first, it's a fielder's choice is what they're calling it, so we'll call it a 6-4 fielder's choice to end the inning for the Phillies. 3 runs. They do it on 3 hits, no errors, and 1 left. We go to the bottom of the third. Phillies now lead it by the score of 3-0 over the Cubbies. Now we got Girardi, Sutcliffe, and Walton. Certainly not going to pinch hit for Sutcliffe in the 3rd inning. I think he's a decent hitter anyway. So coming up is Joe Girardi against Yeomans. 24 is a hit by pitch with a 1-8. That's a 9. So he does not get the hit by pitch. It means he is out, and it's going to be a ground ball to short. So now that I've cut the deck again, the ground balls to short, or the ground balls instead of fly balls, are starting to come up. So that's 1 away. And somehow these 4 cheat sheet things got mixed in with my fast action cards, so I had to move those out of the way. Here's Sutcliffe. He was a 143 hitter, which is not bad for a pitcher. 36, and that's going to be a out on Yeomans. And it will be a line out to first. Line out to the first baseman, Von Hayes, for out number 2. So quickly 2 up and 2 down. Oh, shoot, I left Schmidt on base, didn't I? Forgot to pull him out of there. That happens. You get a lot of things going on. All right, here's Jerome Walton. 23 for Walton is a straight-up strikeout to end the inning. So, boy, Floyd Yeomans doing it to him. 3 up and 3 down again. His A grade is working pretty well, and he and the Phils lead the Cubs 3-0. But there's still 6 innings of baseball left to be played, and anything is liable to happen, especially at Wrigley Field. All right, here's Ron Jones. Popped to second his first time up. 51. That's a 2, though, so Sutcliffe will get the strikeout. His KD is a 1-2, so that will be a strikeout for Mr. Sutcliffe. He gets the K. Avoids a possible error on somebody. Here's Dickie Thon, 35, and that's going to be a single. So that C grade causes him again. A or B grade, that's an out, but on a C grade, that's a single. So Dickie Thon gets the base hit as Sutcliffe just did not have a good bullpen session, and it's come back to bite him. Here's Dalton. 56, and that's going to be a strikeout. So out number 2. Dalton is retired for 2 down, and now we got the generic batting card again for Mr. Yeomans, which is not a good possibility of anything happening. 26, though, is a would have been a left-right split, but it's a strikeout anyway, righty against righty. So it is going to be a strikeout to end the inning. No runs a hit, no errors, and a man left. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Still 3-0 Phils on top of the Cubbies. The Phillies will have Dernier lead off for them next inning. And this time I did remember to move Dickie Thon out of the way. All right, so Dernier will lead off the 5th inning. Leading off the bottom of the 4th for the Cubbies, it is Mitch Webster. Grounded to short his first chance. 34 for Webster is a blank on Yeomans. It's a single. So base hit, Mitch Webster. Leadoff single. as the Cubs try to get back in this game. They're down 3-0, but they got the offense that can do it. And Rhino steps to the plate. Rhino struck out his first chance. 66. He won't strike out this time. That's a 1-19 home run. That is deep, and it might be. It could be. It is a home run. Ryne Sandberg. A 2-run homer. Holy cow. And the Cubs have cut the lead to 3-2 as Rhino goes yard. So the wind must not have been blowing out too bad, as that very Appa-like 66 took care of things. It is now 3-2. Still nobody out for the Hawk. And now maybe the second time through the order, the Cubs are starting to get to Yeomans. Dawson, 51. That's a 12. There is no KD for that. So the 51 check is an error chance on the shortstop Thon once again. And we saw once before he's a 6 on his error rating. That's a 4. It will be an error on Dickie Thon. So Dawson will reach on the E6. And now the Phillies starting to get a little rattled. E6 on Mr. Thon. And that'll bring up Mark Grace. Still nobody out. 54. We're going to skip that one and go straight to this one. Wild pitch rating of 6 falls in the range. It's runner's advance. His wild pitch is a 18, so it will be a wild pitch. And that takes the double play out of the equation and puts the tying run in scoring position. So that was a huge wild pitch. Uncorked by Yeomans. And boy, the Phillies are really just starting to fall apart. Yeomans has to compose himself. 25 is an out. And whoops, got that upside down. The out will be a ground ball to second. That's going to put Dawson over to third automatically. Don't even have to check a chart on that. That's automatic. So 1 away. But the runner is now at third base. That wild pitch was huge. Could have been a double play perhaps without the wild pitch. But now the Phillies have to bring the infield in with 1 out to face Vance Law. 11 for Vance Law is an out. It will be a ground out to the pitcher. Ground out to the pitcher. Now, if I want to refer to the white die from the original roll, runner advances, but I've kind of decided just to stick with this to be consistent. So I'm going to stick with this. And with a runner at third only, runner holds, pitcher tags, out batter up the line. So it was a little nubber that Yeomans got off the mound to field, and he tags out Law unassisted. It's going to go one ground out unassisted. And the runner Dawson has to hold for 2 down. So I'm going to be consistent. I'm not going to use that white die thing. I'm just going to stick with the original roll just to try to be the same. If I should have gone to the if you're supposed to go to the white die by the rules, then let me know that. But I thought it was optional. At least that's the way I'm playing it in this game. Is since I started not going there early on, I want to be consistent. There's Dunston, 55. That doesn't matter. That's going to be a single for Dunston. And he's got a plus sign, so he's got a chance to get a steal. More importantly for the Cubs, that will tie the ball game. We are tied at 3, as that's a 13, and so the 13 is a single plus, which means Dunston does get the chance to steal. So an unearned run comes in on the third run. We are tied at 3. Now Dunston gets a chance to steal. Let's check the arm of Dalton. I believe he's got an average arm, and he does, so there's not going to take anything away from Dunston. His stolen base success is a 13. He makes it. It's possible throwing error. Possible throwing error. Let's check Dalton's error rating. His error rating is only a 1, so there's no throwing error there. And if you're supposed to re-roll, I'll re-roll. But there's still no 1 there, so there's no throwing error. But Dunston does steal it. Now that does lead to an interesting dilemma here if you're the Phillies. Girardi is up with Sutcliffe the pitcher on deck. First base is open. You could walk Girardi and pitch to Sutcliffe, or to take chances of getting out Girardi and make Sutcliffe lead off the next inning. They're going to choose option B. They're going to go ahead and pitch to Girardi. He's an 8-hitter for a reason. 65, that's a home run, but it's a -8. That's a 10. which drops this to a 2, and the home run, I'm sorry, the 8 over here drops him to a 9, my bad. I got to make sure I get this right. 8 takes this number down to a 9, and that prevents the home run because that would have been a 10. That would have been a home run. So it's not going to be a home run because of that -8 from Girardi. So now we got to figure out what kind of out it is, and it will be a ground out for the white die from the original roll. Well, that was a 5 because of the 65, so it's a 5 ground ball to third is how it's going to play. If it was less than 2 outs, the runner would have advanced, but it doesn't matter. That's the third out. And the inning is over 5-3 as Schmidt throws out Girardi to end the inning. For the Phillies, 3 runs. They do it on 3 hits. There was 1 big error and 1 left. So we played 4 at Wrigley, and now it's looking like a Wrigley Field game. It's 3-3. And Sutcliffe will have to lead off next inning, so that part of the strategy by the Phillies paid off, as they will have Sutcliffe lead off the next inning. But they almost gave up a 2-run dinger, but that -8 on Girardi saved the day. Sutcliffe now may be rejuvenated by the run support. And he's up there to face the top of the order, and Bob Dernier, former Cub, 56, and that's going to be a strikeout on Sutcliffe's card. So struck out Dernier to start the 5th. 1 away for Tommy Herr. 12, and that's a walk on a 1, but that's a 15, so no walk. It will instead be a fly to right field. So 2 down. And Herr was 2 for 2 up to that point, but not now. And that brings up Von Hayes. And we get a 35. And on Sutcliffe, that's going to be a single. So Von Hayes, a 2-out single for Von Hayes. His first hit of the game. And that again sends up Michael Jack Schmidt. Chance to do damage. 11 won't be damaged, though. That's an out. And it will be a ground ball to second with a run on first. Let's see, is Hayes a fast runner? He's an average runner. So the run on first, it would be a 4-6 fielder's choice. So he's out at second base as the second baseman Sandberg throws to Dunston to get the force on Hayes. So nothing doing for the Phillies. No runs a hit, no errors, and a man left. We go to the bottom of the 5th. Still tied at 3. And due up for the Cubbies, it's the pitcher, Rick Sutcliffe. Yeomans can face 27 batters. He has only faced 17, so he's still good to go on that. 11 for Sutcliffe is an out, and it will be a ground ball. He is a left-handed hitter, even though he pitches right-handed, so it's a ground ball to first. Von Hayes will take it to the bag himself, 1 away. And we flip the order over to Jerome Walton, who was 0 for 2. 54, bases are empty, so we're going to take that off and use this one on the bases empty. If I can get it off of here, they're kind of stuck together there. Bases empty, Wild. Strike 3 if catcher rating is a G as he frames the pitch. Ball 4 if the catcher rating is a B. Home end gets 3 strikes, away end gets ball 4. Okay, so we got to look at this is where some of the home field advantage can come into play. So we look at the catcher, Darren Daulton, figure out what his rating is. He's a range of N. N is his range. His range is an N. All right. So his range is an N, and this says here, strike 3 if it's a G, but away end gets ball 4. So since they're on the road, that's going to be a walk. So Jerome Walton will walk. Had that game been at the Vet, that would have been a strikeout. But since we're in Chicago, it's going to be a walk. Jerome Walton is aboard on the 1-out walk. And that will send up Mitch Webster. 53, but that's a 5, but that's out of the KD range. So 53 is a range check. And it's going to be a double to center field, potentially, on a range check. Double to center field. Let's look at and it's a plus sign there as well. So let's see, double, potentially, center fielder. Center fielder is Bob Dernier. Check Dernier's range. Dernier's range in center field is a 12. So if this is a 1 to 12, he will make the catch. Higher than 12, it's a double, and the Cubs probably take the lead. It's a 7, so he makes the catch. Nice play there. 2 down. And I'm going to assume that with the runner at first, he's going to hold there. There's probably something you're supposed to check to see if he tags up on a deep fly ball, but I don't have that in front of me. And I just have to play it the best I know how. So I'm just going to say the runner holds, and here comes Sandberg. 53 again, another range play. And this is a single to center field. So again, we're testing Dernier on his range. And I already forgot what his range was. I think it was 12. Is that what it was? Yep, 12. Okay. So again, this has to be a 1 to 12 to make the catch. It is. So Dernier takes 2 hits away, robbing his former teammates of 2 base hits. And that's going to end the inning. So no runs, no hits, no errors, and a man left. If I played that wrong, please tell me, but I think I did that correctly. All right, we go to the top of the 6th. And it will be Chris James to lead it off against Sutcliffe, who can face 30 batters. Right now he has faced 22, so he's still okay. Keeping in mind it is opening day, so your pitchers aren't going to be stretched out quite as much. So I may end up homebrewing something where we deduct that by a few just because it's opening day. But for now, I'm going to play it straight up. James, 41 is a blank. 41 on Sutcliffe is a walk. So Chris James will draw the leadoff walk. And boy, leadoff walks. The karma on the leadoff walks is not good for the pitching team. Here's Ron Jones. 26, that's a left-right split. That's a single, and it's an automatic 2-base advancement anytime you get that left-right split. And that's the first time in the game we've hit that. But boy, it couldn't have come at a better time for the Phillies. As they get the single, puts runners at the corners with nobody out for Dickie Thon. They're going to play back for the double play. They got to prevent the big inning. They can give up 1 run and live with it, but they don't want to have a crooked number up there. So they're playing back for the double play. Sutcliffe really needs a strikeout there. 24, and he almost got it. 23 would have been a strikeout. 24 is going to be a ground ball to short. Runners at the corners. Fielder's choice at second, runner scores. So it's a 6 unassisted to get Jones. So Dunstan's only play was to field it and step on the bag. James will score the go-ahead run for the Phillies. And Thon will reach on the fielder's choice. So an RBI ground out for Dickie Thon. And the Phillies grab a 4-3 lead. Here's Darren Dalton. But if the Cubs get out with just 1 run, it was worth it. 64, and that's going to be an out on Sutcliffe. And it's going to be a pop out to third. So pop out to third for out number 2 as Vance Law puts it away. And now we got Yeomans with the pitcher hitting card that should get him out of the inning, you would think. 55, but on the pitcher hitting card, that's a strikeout. So struck him out to end the inning. Boy, a pinch hitter might have done some damage there, but they get a run to take the lead. They do it on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 left. So bottom of the 6th we go. Cubs find themselves down 4-3. They do have the Hawk to lead things off. It'll be Dawson, Grace, and Law against Yeomans. 52, that's a 7. That's out of range, so we're looking at an error chance on the third baseman. It's a possible 2-base error on the third baseman, Michael Jack Schmidt. Let's look at Schmidt's error rating. This is where the team defensive sheets, had I printed them out, would be a whole lot more useful, but I didn't. His error rating's a 10, so this has to be higher than a 10 to make this play. It's a 13, so he does make the play. So Schmidt handles the tough hop and takes care of Dawson, 1 away. That'll bring up Mark Grace. 41, and that's going to be on Yeomans a walk. So Mark Grace with a 1-out walk. And that'll set up Vance Law. Tying run is on base. Phillies looking to turn 2. 33 for Law is a single, 1-12. That is a 6. It is a single. And the single on a base hit to left field. Run on first, hold or run with risk. But I think down 4-3, you're already in scoring position at second base, so they are going to hold him there. They are not going to test Chris James's arm. So they're going to hold him there. Runners are now at first and second as Vance Law gets the base hit. And that's going to bring up Schwan Dunston. First and second. 1 out. Bullpen for the Phillies is active. They do have right-hander Mike Maddox in the pen. Dunston, 16, is a strikeout straight up. That's big. Huge strikeout for Yeomans for out number 2. And now Girardi, if they get Girardi, they can get out of the inning. 36, and that's going to be an out. So he does get out of the inning, and it's going to be a fly to left, and that's going to take care of it. So it didn't matter if they sent Grace or not because he wouldn't have scored anyway. So that decision became a moot point. So for the Cubs, no runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 left. We go to the 7th. It is 4-3, favor the Phils. Now Sutcliffe is set to lead off next inning, but the Cub bullpen has already got some activity going. Coming up for the Phils, it'll be the top of the order, Dernier, Her, and Hayes, righty switch and left. So for the Cubbies in their bullpen, they are looking at right-hander, I believe. Let me double check it. They have 3 lefties in the pen, so they might go with the lefty here. They're going to go with Pat Perry, a lefty, loosening in the pen, Pat Perry. But right now, Sutcliffe is hanging in there. He's faced 27 batters. He can face 30, so he's around the cusp here. 44 is an out on Dernier, and it's going to be a fly to right, 1 away. So Sutcliffe got away with 1 there, as a 44 would most likely be a hit for most people, but not Dernier. Here's Her. 65, but that's a -10. A -10 on the home run chart. He is a home run of 1-13, drops it to a 3. That's a 12, so the -10 took away the home run. That would have been a home run on a 12 and a 1-13, but the -10 took it away. And in fact, it's actually going to be a ground out to second. So he grounds to Sandberg instead. 2 up and 2 down. And this is the 30th batter right here. He needs to get Von Hayes. If not, he will be tired when he faces Schmidt. 31, and that's going to be a base hit. A base hit. And now you wonder if they're going to bring in another pitcher because now he is officially tired. And Michael Jack Schmidt is your batter. But do they go with Perry or do they go with Pico? Because they had Pico loosening as well. They also had Schiraldi. They're actually going to go with Calvin Schiraldi. So Sutcliffe is done. Calvin Schiraldi will be coming on. I don't think there will be a double switch. I think they just want to get Schiraldi to get him through this inning. I think. Let me double check. Make sure. They could actually do a double switch. Catcher was Girardi was the last out. So actually they're going to make a double switch. There will be a double switch. I lied. So there will be a double switch. Well, I didn't lie, but I was thinking there wouldn't need to be one, but I think we will do one. Because Schiraldi can face 9 batters. I want to have him pitch a 1 batter and leave the game. So there will be a double switch. New catcher is going to be Rick Sharona. He will take over and bat number 9 spot, which means he leads off the next inning. And the pitcher spot takes over at number 8, which means Joe Girardi is out of the game. So Rick Rona will lead off the bottom of the 7th with Girardi out of the game. So update a little board here. We got the pitcher spot number 8. The catcher spot is now number 9 with Rick Rona. So Rick Rona, or as we call him, Rick My Sharona, he is the new catcher. With Hayes at first base and 2 down, and Mike Schmidt the batter. We need a bullpen session for Schiraldi. 8, which means he's on his B grades, his normal B grades. So Schiraldi will be facing Schmidt with 2 outs and a runner at first. 44, and that's going to be a single on a 1-4 or a walk otherwise, and it will be a walk to Schmidt. So that's going to put runners at first and second. Not what the Cubs need coming out of the pen. They didn't need walks. And here's Chris James. Phillies a chance to extend the lead. 23, but he won't do it. James strikes out. So Schiraldi strikes him out to end the inning. No runs, a hit, no errors, and 2 left. 7th inning stretch time at Wrigley Field. You know what that means with Harry Carey and the take me out to the ball game thing. So in your mind's eye, you can envision that. I don't have anything queued up, so you'll have to kind of envision that, I guess. And now you wonder if Floyd Yeomans will continue. Rona's going to lead off a righty, followed by Walton a righty, and Webster a switch. And let's see, he can face 27 batters. This is batter 27. So the Phillies will actually make the move. They're going to pull Yeomans and get to a fresh arm. And let's see who they're going to use out of the pen. I believe I said Harris was the one they were going to use, but it could be Parrott. Let's take a look here. Actually, it's going to be Jeff Parrott. So Jeff Parrott is going to come on to pitch for the Phillies. Jeff Parrott, and Schiraldi is in the game for the Cubs. So Jeff Parrott will be on. We'll get his bullpen session. It is a 12, which is his B grade. It was kind of teeter-tottering between 12 and 18, but it was leaning more to the 12, so that's what I went with. So Rick Rona will lead it off against Jeff Parrott. 55, that's a base hit for Rick Rona. So Rick My Sharona gets the leadoff single to start the bottom of the 7th. That'll bring up Jerome Walton. 62, and that's going to be a strikeout. Jerome Walton out on strikes. Out number 1 for Mitch Webster. 63, and that's going to be another strikeout. So back-to-back Ks by Parrott, and now he's got to face the tough Ryan Sandberg with 2 outs. 64, and that's going to be a strikeout on a 1. No, I'm sorry, it's just plain old strikeout. So he strikes out the side after the leadoff single. Talk about a comeback. So for the Cubs, no runs, a hit, no errors, and a man left. We played 7. It's still 4-3. Favor of the Phillies. And because of the double switch, Schiraldi can keep pitching, which is what they had intended to begin with. That's the whole purpose of the double switch, to keep that pitcher in there longer, not wear out your bullpen. So here's Ron Jones against Schiraldi, 32, and that's a straight-up out on Jones's card. And the out will be a fly to left field. So 1 away as Webster puts it away. Ron Jones is retired, brings up Dickie Thon. 66 for Thon, a 1-10's a homer. That's a 15, which will be a triple for Dickie Thon. So he triples off of Schiraldi, does Dickie Thon, and now that puts the Cubs in a bind. They're going to have to bring the infield in. They will need to bring the infield in here for sure. And maybe the Phillies should have done a double switch, but I guess they just want to pair it to get out of that inning. So right now the infield is in against Darren Daulton. Question is, do they bring a lefty in to pitch to Daulton? I think they will. So Schiraldi, despite being double switched, he's going to come out of the game anyway, and they're going to go to Pat Perry, who they had also loosening the bullpen at that time. So Pat Perry will be on. Daulton has 2 base hits on the splits, 25 and 26. They're trying to limit that possibility as best they can by bringing in Pat Perry. We'll get his bullpen session. It's a 4. He's on his A grades. So Pat Perry is on the A grades for the Cubs against Dalton. Runner at third, 1 out. 4-3 ball game. Infield in. Perry, 56. And 56 is going to be a strikeout on his A grades. So Perry gets the big strikeout of Dalton for out number 2. And now we need a pinch hitter for Parrott. They will go ahead and go to make that move because they would like to get an insurance run if possible. So they got the lefty in there, so they're going to a right-hander, Ricky Jordan. Right-hander Ricky Jordan is coming on to try to get that big base hit. Try to get that big base hit if they can. And warming up in the Philly bullpen is right-hander Mike Maddox. Actually, not going to be Maddox. It's going to be Greg Harris. Another right-hander. Greg Harris got a little bit better numbers than Mike Maddox does. So Greg Harris. And actually, Bedrosian is their closer. So Greg Harris was going to end up being the new pitcher coming up in the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Harris. So right now, 2 down. And the pinch hitter, Ricky Jordan, the batter. Trying to give the Phillies an insurance run. They lead at 4-3, but Jordan could extend that lead. 21, he does not. He's an out. And 21 will be a fly to left to end the inning. So for the Phillies, they get that triple from Thon, but that's it. No runs a hit, no errors, and a man left. Go to the bottom of the 8th, still 4-3. So Jordan does not come through in the pinch. And now for the Phillies, it'll be right-hander Greg Harris. Coming on, we'll roll his bullpen session. It's a 17. He's on his C grades, not too good. He's got to deal with Dawson, Grace, and Law here in the bottom of the 8th of a 4-3 game. 46, and that's a ballpark card. That's a 14. So Dawson, 14, is a right-handed hitter, and that is simply a foul ball. So a reboot. He did not foul out. It's simply a foul ball. So Dawson gets another chance. 26 is a left-right split, but he's facing a righty, so that will be an out, and it will be a fly to right. So Dawson is out of there. 1 away. Second 26 we've rolled in this game. I like keeping track of how many times that shows up. Happened for once for each team. Once produced a hit, once now produces an out. Mark Grace, 63. And against Harris on his C grades, it's still an out. And that will be a fly to right. So 2 fly balls to right field for 2 quick outs. As Jones puts both of those away, here's Vance Law. 16 for Law. A 1-14 is a strikeout. That's a 13. It will be a strikeout to end the inning. And that'll do it for Harris. He goes his 1 inning and pitches a 1-2-3 bottom of the 8th. But they're setting it up now for Steve Bedrosian to come on and finish the deal. Now let's see what's going to happen for the Phillies. They have the top of the order. Pat Perry's only faced 2 batters. He can face 10. So they're going to keep him in there. Dernier, Her, and Hayes. Righty switch lefty, so it really doesn't matter. They're going to stick with Pat Perry. He's got his A grade, so since he's hot, he's hot. So they're going to stick with him. 13, that's an out, and that will be a ground ball to short. Dunston takes care of it. 1 away to start the 9th. And like I said, Bedrosian's already loosening in the pen. Getting ready to go for the bottom of the 9th. Just got to figure out what kind of bullpen session he's going to have. Here's Her. 42, and that's going to be a walk. So how about that? Tommy Her draws the 1-out walk. Third time he has reached base in this game. Brings up Von Hayes. .62, and that's going to be a strikeout on a 1-2, but that's a 3. So the out's going to be a ground out to the pitcher. Runner at first. 1-6-3 double play, but a pitcher with a weak arm, it's only a fielder's choice. Pat Perry's arm is strong, actually, so it will be a double play. 1-6-3, they turn it to end the top of the ninth. So Pat Perry does his job. He does his job, and if the game goes extra innings, they will have the wild thing, Mitch Williams, come in and pitch. So for the Phillies, they get no runs, no hits, and no errors, and nobody left. They had a walk, and that was it. Erased on the double play. So now Shawon Dunston has to deal with Bedrosian. It's going to be Dunston, a pinch hitter for the pitcher, Perry, and then Rick Rona. So we got Dunston, a pinch hitter, and Rona. Pinch hitter for the Cubs, who they have on the bench is left-handed. That's a decent hitter, or switch hitter in this case. Wilkerson's .244. Let's see. Varsho is .184. Yeah, so it's going to be Kurt Wilkerson to pinch hit after, or before Rona, I should say. So Kurt Wilkerson, .244. The best they have on the bench is .244. That's left-handed or switch. Jackson is .229 and Ramos is .263, but he's a righty, so going to play the percentages, obviously, or at least that's what you would expect the manager to do. So we're going to have bullpen session for Bedrosian, and it's 13, so he's on his B grades. So it'll be Bedrosian against Dunston to start the bottom of the ninth. 4-3 Phils. 66. 1-8's a triple. That's a 9. That is a 9. Because that's a 6. This is a 9. So it won't be a triple. It will be a double. He missed it by 1. But Shawon Dunston, a leadoff double against Steve Bedrosian to start the bottom of the ninth. And now the pinch hitter is really big. Really big opportunity for Curtis Wilkerson, the pinch hitter. See what he can do against Bedrosian. 56. Blank here. 56 is a strikeout. So Wilkerson strikes out. Wilkerson strikes out for out number 1. It's a huge strikeout. All other pinchers were blanks on their cards. They would have struck out too, so it really didn't matter who you had up there. He was going to strike out. So here's Rona. 25 for Rona. That's an out. And the out will be a ground out to the catcher. Runner on second. Runner holds if catcher weak armed and he advances to third. So Dalton, I think, has an average arm, if I'm not mistaken. He does. So that means Dunston's got to freeze at second base. The putout's going to go 2-3. And we're down to our final chance. Jerome Walton. Last chance. Let's see, is Dunston Dunston is a really fast runner. Dunston has an F with an exclamation point, so pretty much any base hit, he's got a good chance to score. Walton, the last chance. 46, it's a ballpark card. That is an 11 for a right-handed hitter. An 11 is a foul ball, so reboot. Walton gets another chance. 24, hit by pitch on a 1-6, but that's an 18. He's going to be out. He flies to right field. Ron Jones is there, and the ball game is over. Phillies hang on and win it by the score of 4-3. In real life, the Cubs won this game 5-4. We'll be right back with the totals to wrap things up from Wrigley Field. All right, we're back at Wrigley. Get the line score. I did make a slight boo-boo there. I wrote down 6 hits, and it really was 7 hits. So for the Phillies, 4 runs, 9 hits, 1 error, 8 left. For the Cubs, 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors, and 7 left. Floyd Yeoman's the winner. And Rick Sutcliffe the loser. Save goes to Steve Bedrosian despite giving that leadoff double to Shawon Dunston. So there you go. Fall Classic Baseball, my first maiden voyage on a recording with no help live to help me. So hopefully I did most of the stuff correctly. Again, I appreciate any feedback on rule mistakes I made. If they're judgment calls and it could go either way, then I'll let it go at that. But if I did something blatant wrong that I shouldn't have done, please let me know, and I will work on it. So it's going to do it from here. Hope you enjoyed that presentation of Fall Classic Baseball. And until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it, and I will see you all down the road.